Okay, I think we're live streaming. So good morning and welcome to everyone. There'll probably be a few more people dripping in as we get going. Welcome to the Lead Generation Masterclass. And this morning we're looking at a nice compelling title here: Lights, Camera, LinkedIn instead of Action, how to stand out with compelling video content. Obviously, Andre, you're on the call. Be great if a few more hop on. We'll just wait for those guys, give them a bit longer today. So we're looking at quite a few things in terms of kind of video content. Here's a rundown of the agenda. I'll do a quick introduction. We'll look at understanding your target audience. So kind of digging into that in a bit more detail. Planning your video content. So video is very powerful, and we're going to go into some stats and look at that in a bit of detail. I'm just going to let in Christoph. And number 4, creating engaging video content. So looking at that, some top tips, some software tools that I've used in the past and still use. Also, we're going to look at how to kind of further promote your video content. So once you've actually created it, what can we do to kind of get that video content pushed further across more places? And number 6, we're going to look at how to measure your content. So any decent bit of marketing that we do, it's important to test it, measure it, so that we've got the stats and the figures and the wisdom there to then think, are we seeing a return on this investment? So always test and measure any bit of marketing that you do. So the typical format for these masterclasses are they're about 45 minutes in length. I go through a bit of a slide deck for the first kind of 25 minutes, and then we open it up into some more kind of Q&A stuff. Happy to dive into some software tools if you want to have a look and see some of my workflows. More than happy to do that. And then at the end, we'll do some kind of open Q&A. If anyone's got any questions, it's a great opportunity to kind of tune in to get your questions answered and explore these ideas a bit further. Just letting a few more people into the room. There we go. Good morning, Martin. I think Martin's just joined us as well. Participants. Morning, Christoph. Can see you there on the call as well. And yeah. Good morning, Martin. Just want to say hello to you before we cracked on with the agenda this morning.
Yeah, morning, Alex. Sorry,
That's all right. Not a problem. Not a problem. We're live on LinkedIn, live on YouTube. So yeah, if anyone doesn't want to be live, just dip out on the camera for the session. But here we go. So kicking off, just a quick introduction. Who am I? What do I know about LinkedIn? Well, I've been on LinkedIn for a number of years, probably 10 years or so, utilizing it pretty much in all my kind of business endeavors and leveraging it to get more sales, more leads. And then I looked at automation, worked for a big national membership organization and helped them to kind of leverage LinkedIn a lot more. And in the end, I ended up managing LinkedIn on behalf of 20 membership advisors across the region. And that was a bit of a challenge to juggle that. So very much looked to how we could do that with software, not tying up computer resources like some of these tools on the market do. So there's a bit about me. Always start with these fundamental marketing models. When you're on LinkedIn, it's all about putting yourself out there, making sure people are aware of you. That's very, very important. And when we look at video today as a strategy within LinkedIn, it's key to help people in all these stages. So you can utilize video in the interest stage. You can use the video in that consider stage. When you're driving the traffic to your website or an event, you've got a powerful way to help people to consider you. The purchase stage as well. And once you're retaining your clients, video again is a great way to retain that customer loyalty and for people to advocate what you do in the form of video testimonials and stuff like that. So video is quite crucial to everything we do in terms of this marketing model. Where does it sit in with the Leadeth Pro roadmap? So step 5 is all about video content marketing. And that's the stage where content is king. So we work with clients and we'll create 13 unique 1 to 2 minute videos which we'll shoot, edit, add captions on, and post to the profile at precisely the right time to increase that visibility and your influence as a leader in the industry. So it kind of sits there as a little component of this whole roadmap that we've been doing. Every week on the masterclass, we look at a different component. So last week we looked at kind of email outreach and how to leverage out email to. We looked at cold email, bulk email campaigns, and also nurture campaigns on LinkedIn. And then before that, LinkedIn outreach was another big part of what we do. But right at the start of the funnel is looking about audience. So we'll touch a little bit on audience today. Let's start with a stat this morning. So which format is more effective at generating sales or leads? Anyone want to hazard a guess as to the ratio percentage-wise, videos versus blog posts? Martin's on mute. I saw his lip move.
That's no good, is it? I'm going to go 66%.
66 for
34%,
videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Andre, how about yourself?
Yeah, I think so. I think videos is I don't know if it's 66 or 66.5.
Okay.
But I think I'm leaning towards videos because blog posts take a long time to read and
Yeah, that's right. Well, the actual stat from Databox there, where we got the stat, 74% would say videos is more effective at generating those leads and sales. So it's quite a high percentage. So if you think about the time that you're inputting to your own website and blog content, almost, it's almost a quarter, isn't it? 25 and 75 almost. So yeah,
well,
3/4 much more powerful. So blogs, don't underestimate them. They have their place. They're great for SEO and stuff, but videos, we'll learn later in this masterclass that videos can also be utilized in terms of SEO, which we'll have a look at a bit later on. So let's do a little bit about understanding our target audience. And it's important that we understand, who this target audience is. So before we start to create any sort of content, it's critical and crucial that we understand, who is it that we're appealing to? I'm just going to let Christoph in the room again. And so when we start to understand this target audience, this is going to help us to create videos that are going to be really relevant. They're going to be engaging, and they're really going to help us to achieve our marketing goals. So the steps we do that, how do we sort of conduct this audience research? There's several ways to conduct this research. Number one, analyzing your LinkedIn audience insights. So there's actually a tool within LinkedIn that helps us to analyze our audience, and it's called the Audience Insights tool. If you just Google it, Audience Insights tool on LinkedIn, I'll share a link in the kind of after notes. But this starts to help us to understand the demographics, the interests, and those types of behaviors that our current followers are things that they're into and stuff. So that is a really good tool, because when you start to use that tool, it's going to say, this audience, this is your audience. You'll be able to start to kind of tailor that content that you're going to produce to that specific audience. Surveying your target audience. So if you've already got some sort of audience or some sort of following, putting out simple polls and things like that on LinkedIn will help you to kind of ask questions to your specific audience to get more information back. So it could just be a simple poll. I'm looking to produce this bit of content on such and such. Could you help me? Is this relevant? Give us some directions in the comments below. Vote on the poll. Getting that information directly from your audience, so people that are already looking at your content, is a really powerful way too. And then you can also review your website analytics. So it could be that you've got a basic website. It could be even a one-page landing page. Having a look at your Google Analytics and seeing the behavior from people that are going onto your website could also help you. So you could have a look and see what content is being viewed for the longest period of time on your website. And it could be a really historic blog article on such and such, a specific topic. Then you can kind of utilize that and go back on that and say, right, let's produce it into a video bit of content. And it doesn't need to be too long. If you can summarize up that web page in about 2 minutes and put it out there as a video, you might get a really good engaging response from it. So the key characteristics of your target audience, think about the demographic information, their age, the gender, where they're located. You should be able to get this sort of information. Interests, what are they interested in? And what type of content do they prefer? Okay. Have a think about their pain points. Always remember their pain points, because this is quite key later on as we try to build up that relationship with them to address these issues. So what are the challenges that they face, and what are they looking to solve? Google is your best friend here, because you can just go into any specific industry, whether it's the energy sector or something like that. And you can just say, what are the top 10 challenges of this sector? And boom, you'll have a list of 10 really popular issues that specific industry is facing and needs solving. So great for kind of understanding that. And if you can bring content in around that, that's going to engage really well with your audience. Buying habits. So understanding the types of products and services that they're looking to purchase. So where are they currently spending that money, and what's it going on? So a bit of competitor research potentially there as well. So once you start to understand these key characteristics, it's actually going to start to help you to create this video that's going to speak really directly to this target audience, and it's going to meet their needs. So planning the content. So we've had to think about the audience. We're going to start to think about how to plan that content. Here's a quote I found from Abraham Lincoln. He says, "Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe." So what this is all about is just, putting the time in to plan it and prep it. I'm guilty of that. I'm really bad. I just hop onto YouTube, onto LinkedIn Live, and we'll do a video, but with no structure or no idea in terms of my audience, or I haven't really thought about it. But when you start to, have a clear brief with what you're going to try and achieve, and we'll go through some of that in a bit more detail later on, but that will really help you to kind of prep that, have a few bullet points ready to go, so you can be not just waffling for hours on end, but you can be really specific. So you can avoid overrunning on your videos by planning, and that's the biggest risk, is kind of just overrunning, and then retention rate on that video is just going to fall off straight away. So it's being sharp and snappy and to the point. And obviously that's going to prevent you reshooting it 100 times. It's going to save you from having to edit it lots and lots of times, which would cost you a lot more money and resources potentially. So putting the plan in place up front is going to help you in the long run. So within social media, when you're posting any type of content, really, whether that's video content or images on Instagram, whatever it is, there's this rule here called the rule of thirds. Obviously, it's a photography thing, is probably where it came from years ago, but they've applied it to social media. So you have a third of your content is all about promoting. Yeah. So a third of your post is to promote your business, and that drives the conversions. A third of your content needs to be curated content. So think about some industry insights from thought leaders that you can then share on your feed. And then the other third, the last third, is that personal interaction. So we need to be spending a third of our time one-to-one, engaging with those posts, interacting with followers. Now, there are a lot of tools that try to automate some of this to some degree, which is great. But in terms of a content strategy, it's a really good way of thinking, into thirds like that. You may have come across Pareto's principle, 80-20 rule. That also applies to social media content. They say 80% of your posts should be to inform, educate, or entertain, and 20% of your posts should be to promote your actual business or drive conversions. I think so many people new to kind of social media get caught up in the, this is me, this is my business, this is constantly promoting themselves and what they're doing, not actually adding much value. So think about your audience. They don't just want to hear about you as a company all the time. They want to learn more stuff, become more kind of educated in terms of the industry or whatever it is. So some really helpful tips, hopefully, there in terms of how to plan that content, and think about, if you're doing a regular thing, certainly how to split it up across the week or across the month into thirds, promote curated content, and then personal interaction. You've also got to determine, obviously, which social media channels are going to be the best type for you to sit on. So if your audience are LinkedIn, obviously video works really well on LinkedIn. Think about the different platforms. There are others out there. So your audience, if it's B2C, you might want to have a look at Facebook or Meta. Instagram if you're in a creative space with a bit more visual. And obviously TikTok is everybody's talking about TikTok. I don't know how long it will survive for, because as soon as kind of America pulls the plug on TikTok, it will be pulled over here as well. But there are other channels popping around to think about. And when we talk about what types of video content, I did a quick search on Google, what video works best on LinkedIn. The top answer came from kind of April last year. So LinkedIn recommends less than 30 seconds for top of the funnel awareness content and ads. So this is that right at the top, the awareness piece. If you're just trying to draw people into knowing a bit more and having a bit of awareness, less than 30 seconds. Okay, video ads that are less than 20 seconds will loop continuously automatically, but the best performing videos are under 15 seconds long. So in terms of planning that bit of content, in terms of awareness, a very short piece of content works very effectively there. Okay, so we've gone through the audience, we've gone through a bit of information about kind of planning and prepping that. Let's look at creating the actual engaging content. So video content on LinkedIn has quickly become a very effective way to engage with your target audience and engage and kind of build those relationships. So when we create video content, it's essential for that content just to not always just to showcase yourself on LinkedIn, but the content's got to allow you to showcase your knowledge and expertise in a way that's going to be very personal to people, and it's going to resonate with them. What that does in turn is creates this trust. It builds rapport and then credibility within your audience, and a great way to start conversations. So putting this LinkedIn live out there, if anyone comments on the live, I can then go back and then follow up on that. So it's a great strategy, and especially if you're doing short bits of content on either daily or a weekly basis, it's getting into that routine and rhythm. Video content also makes it very easy for you to target your audience and give them an incentive to take action. So obviously that call to action is great. We've been banging on about it in previous episodes about having that call to action as part of your content. So by creating videos that are going to be entertaining, informative, and interesting, you're quickly going to build this relationship, and then hopefully it's going to be shareable as well. So people will want to share that content with their friends or promote it on your behalf, which is great. It's spreading the reach of it. So that wider audience is going to gain you more visibility and obviously influence. So when you start to create the video content on LinkedIn, think about a relationship building strategy. Think about people that are engaging with that content and getting back to them. Videos are a great way to explain your product or service. So if you've got something that's very hard to describe to a new customer, or it needs more than 2 minutes to kind of go into the length detail about it, I know, like for example, what Martin does, it's not a straightforward thing to kind of talk about and introduce. You can't do it in just a one-liner. There's a bit of detail to it in terms of the problem, the pain points. So video is a fantastic way to kind of get that across to your audience. It's a really useful tool, and it's going to help those potential, new relationships and clients potentially to learn about the products that you provide. So customers will only buy your product when they can fully understand what it does and how it's going to help them. If there's no clarity there, they'll just try something else. So it's not surprising that video content is such a good tool for this, as it's very visual and it helps people to explain clearly on how they work. Apparently videos have a really good return on investment. So there were some stats that I was digging around, bring up a slide in a minute, but a lot of people think of video being very expensive, very time consuming to produce, but there's plenty of technology and tools out there now, and LinkedIn makes it super easy just to hit a go live button and you can just broadcast your message really instantly. And not only does talking about it being expensive, we all have smartphones, so in our pockets, and these little devices are just fantastic. This is probably a 2-year-old iPhone. Fantastic. The camera quality is superior. If you're in a good room with a decent amount of natural light coming in, you can create some really good quality videos. And there's some tools that we'll go into that I can help you to add captions, create edits, which we'll look at in a moment. So 91% of businesses are currently using video, apparently in 2023. A really high statistic, which I thought. So the adoption of video. So obviously, as technology's made it easier for businesses to record video, obviously COVID was that big kind of jump start for a lot of businesses to get going on video. So there's a ton of stats that kind of also illustrate this point if you search around on Google and stuff. But if you're not, you're going to risk missing out on one of the most popular ways that people are going to consume content. So you need to be there. It's where people are consuming the content. Just get on with it. Some people just have this fear about, putting themselves on camera. It's a bit of a mindset thing. You just got to get over it and just get on with it and get doing it. Obviously, when you start to upload these videos, if you're not doing it live, then kind of YouTube is a great platform, and it's a really good way for SEO, because what you can do is you can tag your business, you can include URLs in the description, and Google is constantly searching these YouTube's database of videos, and will often populate search results with your video before any of the natural search results in Google. So if you were to put a video post out there on some sort of particular software thing that you're doing, Andre, that would work in your favor, because your website might not get that traffic, but on YouTube, if you've got the keywords there and it's being found in the algorithms, it could put your video up higher than anyone else, especially if no one's got the video content already on YouTube. So if it's a niche that's not been tapped into, have a think about that, because that video on YouTube could be very unique. It could be the only video out there, nobody's searching on it before, and if you're the first one there, you're going to be getting all the traffic in Google searches for that. So it's a very powerful tool for SEO. And when we start to kind of utilize these trends, and in terms of going back to our research, looking at topics that are relevant to our target audience, creating these timely, informative video pieces, it's just going to really help with SEO, getting more links to your website. So it's the backbone of your business model, your funnels. It kind of all just helps to kind of keep the juices flowing. So keep it short to the point when you're doing a video. People don't want that long video. So obviously the people's interest dips. I mean, the modern kind of human species, the brain power of concentration kind of drops after like 5 minutes or something. It was some horrific statistic. So you've got to basically have people's attention, up there in everything that you do. So it's all about the energy. Don't forget that call to action. Always at the end of your video, have a call to action. Encourage your viewers to take the next step, whatever that might be. Whether it's signing up for a newsletter, visiting your website, always have a call to action in your content. So some top tips and things that you might have not thought about. When you're filming, you can crop your video to a 1-to-1 ratio, and that just means a square ratio. So when you produce video to a square ratio, it's going to be a lot more friendly on LinkedIn, because a lot of LinkedIn users are mobile users. They're watching on a portrait screen, they're commuting, they're traveling. So if you've got a landscape video, you're kind of losing out with that letterbox video. You're going to lose out a lot of content. So a square format will kind of make you much bigger. Okay. If you go all the way and do a portrait video, the risk is the desktop users are just going to see a squidged fraction of what you're producing. So I always feel the best of both worlds is a square crop, and most software tools out there will be able to crop off the bits that you're not used at the end, and then get it uploaded like that. There's some great tools out there for including burnt-in captions. So LinkedIn sometimes will automate this process. I know YouTube automates captions at the bottom, but you've got to think a lot of your potential prospects, they're coming back from London on a meeting, on a train or something, kind of traveling. So they're listening to your YouTube video. They might not have headphones with them, and they don't want to blast it out their speakers if they're on a train or whatever. So it's important to have captions. So certainly with that short form content, the ads, the kind of 1 minute, 2 minute videos, I would always encourage people to use a tool like Descript. Descript is fantastic. There's another one called Veed.io, and these are with their web-based tools. You drop your video in, and literally it slams on some really pretty captions over the top of what you're saying, and that's just going to help people to stay engaged, gives them an opportunity to read it as well. We've already spoken about optimizing for SEO and the importance for that, but obviously in the descriptions, keep including things like your keywords. LinkedIn hashtags haven't really taken off hugely on LinkedIn. I think they do get used from time to time, but in terms of that natural, the organic reach, having a good description there with all the keywords that you want is vital. You can use custom thumbnails. So the custom thumbnail is just that static image that will grab attention to the content before they hit the play button. So have a think about creating something specifically for that, rather than it automatically grabbing the middle frame of you just with your mouth open or saying something. Create something custom. There's some good tools out there like Canva, which is really good. You can say, create me a square image in Canva for LinkedIn video something. You can add extra images, logos, really make it enticing, or go on fiverr.com, slip someone a fiver and they'll do it for you really professionally, and won't do it in no time at all. So don't forget ChatGPT. We've picked up on ChatGPT. You can actually go into ChatGPT, say, can you script me a suitable 1-minute video on this specific topic? And it'll actually create you a script, which is pretty good stuff. And then it'll also suggest some overlay videos that you might want to bring in to kind of break up the monotone, you just talking all the time. So there's a good website, artgrid.io. That's artgrid.io. And that is a free, a royalty-free stock footage repository. So you can search for, whatever that picture might be. If you're working in the energy space, I don't know, Martin, you could do a search for solar panels, or on large arrays of solar panels on a field or something like that, green renewable. And then you can just have a 2-second clip breaking up what you're talking about, and if it's relevant, just have a swipe of this video just to engage with people in a different way, and that often kind of just breaks it up a little bit more, makes it a bit more interesting. So just an idea there. Good audio. So good audio is quite key. Clarity. Good audio ensures that your message is going to be heard really clearly. If you've got a great video, but you lack the audio, viewers aren't going to stick around. They're going to get frustrated if they can't hear what's being said. Think about engagement. So obviously having high quality audio, that's going to help you to captivate your audience. It's going to help them stay more engaged with the content. So it's going to be easier for you to then connect with that audience when the message is delivered. And having that kind of professional sounding audio will just, sets you apart really. It's the perception thing, isn't it? So it's going to elevate your standards. If I was to kind of present these webinars in just a really crummy, poorly lit room, it's obviously the perception. They're going to think, if I'm going to be spending some considerable amount of investment with this person, how does that reflect? Also accessibility. It's going to be great for accessibility. So hard of hearing people, deaf people, accurate captions and things like that is going to help. But having good audio will also help certainly. And think about retention. Obviously, having really good high quality audio, you're going to retain that potential prospect for a lot longer. If the audio is really weak, they'll just be off it straight away. So good audio is quite key. The next biggest thing to good audio I always talk about is good lighting. So having good lighting is quite key. Think about the location where you're going to shoot that video, because that's going to really help. So look for a place where you've got a lot of natural light. For me, I've got three big bifolding doors right in front of me in this garden office at the back of the garden here. So I've got vast amounts of natural light coming in, which is great on good days. And then use a key light. So a key light is kind of what fills the gap. So I've actually got an LED key light here. I'll switch it off. It works on a little remote. So you can see, there's a few bit more a darker shadow on the face. If I turn the key light on, boom, it just lights up those darker shadows. It's not like a spotlight in my face. It just sits there on the end of the desk and it just fills in that gap. You can also use fill lights. So some people have a couple of those on the side or whatever. Just if you've got a bit of darkness, bit of shadows in your light, people want to see you. So consider a backlight as well. Backlights are really good. I've got an LED strip in the ceiling, which is constantly falling out. I need to fix it, but it just creates a bit of depth in your videos as well. So think about good lighting. You don't have to spend a fortune. My key light was about 40 quid on Amazon. Fantastic bit of kit. Use it on all my Zoom meetings when I'm presenting or when I'm with clients, because it just works really well. There's a number 6 tip here. It says talk about avoid mixing light temperatures. So you can have a cold light, which is kind of quite a high luminosity level, or you can have warmer lighting, which is about the 5,000 lumens or whatever. try not to mix those too much. So stick with one specific shade of light if you've got lots of different lighting sources. But yeah, experiment with it, try different angles, and just see what happens. Move them about, and yeah, have a go. I've also got two huge, big, like 200-watt LED lights, which I use for photography sometimes. But the key to a good video is always good lighting, good sound, I would say. Camera comes kind of secondly, because most cameras these days are pretty good. They've got high definition. So it's not always the camera equipment, and that's the most expensive bit, the camera equipment. But good lighting, good sound, just a small bit of your budget on that is going to really help improve what you're doing. So once you've created that video piece, we've got to think about promoting it. So when you go back to the planning stage, think about what are the goals and objectives for each video. So have a clear understanding of what you want to achieve in every single video. And that could be increasing your brand awareness, could be for generating leads, boosting your engagement, or even driving sales. But have a specific goal and objective in mind, and that's going to help you to create something that is going to be, relevant and aligned with your overall marketing strategy. Once you've developed a consistent strategy, a lot of people use this storyboarding technique. So that's where you can, define your objectives. You've got the content strategy outlined. You can start to explore what topics, themes, and messaging that you want to convey. And the storyboard will help you as a tool to visually see what's going from one step to another step, including the shots, maybe any transitions you want to include. And when you go to ChatGPT, you can say, come up with a storyboard for a 2-minute video. This is going to be the main theme. I want this call to action at the end, and boom, it'll literally storyboard it for you, saying, try a scene of a guy in his 50s doing this, walking around with a dog, or blah, blah, blah. And it's quite specific. And then you can go off and fetch those shots or film them yourself. Attention grabbing visuals. So this is where we start to use overlay logos and icons and different things, including charts, animations. That can be really helpful to kind of bring your story to life, and also illustrate any specific key points that you want to get across. And then don't forget the call to action, the important CTA. Obviously, that CTA could be something simple like asking them to share the video, or it could be visit the landing page for more information. So always remember, grab that CTA, put it in there, call to action. So yeah, once you've kind of optimized it, it takes us into the next stage where we look at, evaluating it. But think about where you're going to promote it. So on your personal profile, if you're a LinkedIn content creator, so you've got a creator profile enabled, you can actually have a web link there. You can have it as an article and push that video right to the top of your profile, which is really good. If you've got a LinkedIn company page, there's a great opportunity there to repurpose that content and just pop it on your company page. LinkedIn groups, so any LinkedIn groups that you're a part of, you can post your video into those LinkedIn groups. I mean, it could just be, I'm looking for feedback on this video that I've produced. That's a cheeky way of doing it. LinkedIn video ads, obviously, if you've got a bigger budget and you want to pay to drive traffic into that video, you can actually do it as a paid ad that will come up on a specific audience feed as well. So think about your other channels. Obviously, I push to LinkedIn and YouTube. YouTube is the other channel I'm looking to grow. But if you've got an email marketing newsletter, it's a great opportunity again. If you do a regular email, reusing that video content on email is another really powerful way to do it. So a couple of things on measuring and your video for success, but basically everything we do in marketing, measure, test. Everyone talks about it, but not many people actually do it. So you need to measure and analyze the performance data that you're getting back from the video. So when we start to do that, we can see what's working, what's not. And that's going to help us to make these kind of data-driven decisions for the next bit of content that we're going to produce. It helps us to kind of optimize that video content strategy that we planned right at the start. So it'll also help us to increase engagement, and it's going to help us to drive more results into your business. So to measure the success of your video content, we're going to look at various metrics that you can use. Obviously, Google have a really powerful analytics tool. And if you're doing on YouTube, YouTube gives you loads of analysis and analytics on how long they've been watching and stuff like that. So it's helpful to kind of test your videos in YouTube as well. But some of the key metrics to consider then, think about your views, and that's kind of the number of people that have that your video has been watched. So a very basic rate, but really helpful. Your engagement rate. So that's going to be the measure of how much interaction your video has received. So that could be likes, comments, and shares. When you start to measure that engagement, obviously you can compare two videos off the back of each other. That gets quite exciting. The click-through rate. So the click-through rate is the number of people that actually clicked on the video and gone through to visiting a link on your website. Obviously, if you're doing LinkedIn ads where you're paying for traffic on a click on a website or whatever to learn more that goes through to an ad, you're going to have to make sure you're seeing a good return on that investment to justify the ad spend. Audience retention, again, this is quite key, and this is kind of understanding how much people are actually watching for a specific period of time. And if you're in e-commerce and things like that, we think about the conversion rate, so the number of conversions or the sales that we're generating as a result of that video. So there we go. That's a quick blast of improving your video on LinkedIn. Be great to hear some big takeaways from you guys, and then we can go into a bit more kind of open discussion about this subject. Who wants to kick us off?
Alex, yeah, hi all. I've used video in the past, I have to say, and I've used video as an introduction, used Loom. Have you come across that, Alex?
Yeah, so Loom's a great tool for just hitting record, capturing a segment or portion of your screen or a tab that you're on, and and it just uploads it, so you can just share a short URL with people and they can watch it back. Very personal, very powerful.
Absolutely. Instead of a blanket email or just copy and paste the content and use different contact names and emails. It is very specific to either. If I sent an email of "Hi Andre, it's me, it's Martin," you may remember we met on Alex's Leadeth training over the past couple of weeks. I've got a specific message for you. Am I right in understanding you deal with software in a particular area? I'm very keen to talk to you. If you've got an email, from experience, you might respond, but you might respond with less enthusiasm, if you like. So I'm trying to get my head around how I can do that with some of the, as you said, Alex, some of my messages in the renewable energy market are quite technical, and I don't want to get into the technical at all. I want to keep it sort of broad brush and general, but there do need to be some specifics in there. So I'm giving some real thought to analysing exactly who my clients are. So I'll probably pick up with you on that, exactly how to go about that. I want to be dealing with decision makers as opposed to somebody who might be enthusiastic about the topic, but actually can't take the message forward, if you like. So it's what we describe as C-level contacts. I'm trying to focus very much on that. And
Andre, any kind of big takeaways from you from this morning's presentation?
Yeah, and the biggest takeaway is do it. I've got 2 videos on YouTube. One is from 2 years ago and one is from 3 months ago. And the one 3 years ago, it was an explainer video for a product that we developed, and I did it with Bittable or Biteable.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've heard of that, but they've got like templates that you can put images, and it was really good. I couldn't really find a good music or soundtrack, background soundtrack to it. But yeah, and I'm thinking about just recording myself talking about a particular subject. But again, it's this whole thing, what do I know and what have I got to say? I think it's getting over that, there are people that probably know more or whatever. But I know I've got to do it, because looking at LinkedIn, so many LinkedIn gurus, they just get their face out there, every day. So there's something about it.
Right, they're in front of their audience, aren't they?
Yeah. So
I was just going to take a question in the chat from Christoph. Christoph says, how do you have your location and weather showing under your name, tagline, and banner? So that's kind of completely unrelated to the session, but I'll share it with you. So if you go to Zoom apps, there is a app called, I'm just going to bring up the name of it if I can find it.
I don't. Oh yeah, your screen wasn't showing.
Apps. Wants me to collaborate. I'm just waiting for it to load up, but there is an app. I'm pretty sure it's called Warmly, WARMLY. Yeah, and annoyingly, I can't. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's called Warmly, the app. It's called AI name tags. So it's called a name tag, and it basically allows you to add your LinkedIn image, your company logo, your tagline, and then you also can put in your location and your current time zone, and it grabs the weather. Apparently it's 4 degrees. It doesn't feel like 4 degrees out there today, but yeah, that's what that does. Also, some of you might have seen on your LinkedIn profile, you can actually, if you go into your app on the LinkedIn app on your smartphone, you can actually add a short video, 30-second video over the profile image. So when someone clicks on your profile, they see you, they'll actually see a video which you can add there as well. So that's another great tool to do. Just say good morning to John Finch tuning in on LinkedIn on the live stream as well. Thank you for joining in. So happy to stick around for another 10 minutes if you guys want to chat a bit more about video specifically or a content strategy around video. But thank you for your input, and I leave it. Do you got anything you want to further add?
Not for now.
No.
Excellent.
Alex,
Thank you.
Great. So next week we go up into the next strategy, and after video it's number 6, and that's where we look at Calendly, which is all about scheduling, and scheduling is quite key, and understanding having a CRM to capture that data, sending the reminders for meetings and things like that. It's a fundamental piece that sits in the Pro Plan framework. So that's what we'll look at next week. If anyone listening has this has resonated with you and you want to hop in, this is my call to action, I guess. Head over to leadeth.io/strategy. That's where you can book a one-to-one strategy call with myself. It's just 100% value. We'll go in, have a chat around your business, have a discussion around topics and things that we could do with your business as well. But thank you for joining today on the live. I'm going to hit stop, and have a great day.
Cheers.
Thank you, gentlemen. Great to have you.